Biases. They are everywhere and we need to talk about them. Creators, viewers, everyone has a hard time spotting if someone is biased, or even yourself. And that is what we're going to look at today. A very glorious example of biases turning caring to blaming. So this video I structured a little bit differently. I will show you certain arguments or claims Belle made regarding Eugenia Cooney, and I will either debunk them or show you how biased it is, because most of it has actually no substance. And the most important thing, I show you the way she talked about Eugenia in the beginning versus now, and I have a theory about why those two are so different. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessy Tentoo, and today I want to fight biases. And Belle Aubrey is what I think very biased at the moment, at least regarding Eugenia Cooney. I'm not talking about the rest of her content. I don't want to make this a hit piece because I'm only focusing on her videos about Eugenia. The other videos are probably fine and not as filled because she's probably not as emotionally attached to the other topics. And just so you know, during the video I will flash some bias definitions, explanations on the screen corresponding to what Belle said or did. So you can read that, you can pause that, you can read that and think for yourself if you think she is as biased as I think or not. So my claim, it's just a hypothesis. I don't have proof, but I want you to tell me in the end of the video if you think there might be something about it, okay? So she is, and she stated that herself, emotionally attached.
The whole time I was always following Eugenia Cooney, waiting for her to go and get help. For me, it got like very upsetting because I was like very emotionally attached to this because I really wanted her to get help. So then I had to stop like watching her channel. I had to stop interacting with her.
That is why she was very nice and understanding in the beginning, because her first video was surrounding her recovery after her therapy about her eating disorder. And Belle even stated in that video.
So like now that I see that she actually is, I'm like, oh my god, yes, like I'm so happy for her. I'm so excited. I will be checking up on this like as soon as she posts videos, because I really do like I said, I'm very invested in this. I like want her to get better, and I'm looking forward to seeing like her full recovery story because I find it inspirational for myself and also for the small damaged little 13-year-old that still lives inside me somewhere.
So she had pretty high expectations, and I would claim that Belle was very disappointed because she had these expectations to make her feel better. She didn't feel better, probably even worse, and she even got triggered herself. And I think because she got triggered, she has this thing in her mind, she triggers people. She reads some comments of kids being triggered, and I think there was this blame. So I am not wrong for researching for a topic that triggers me, but Eugenia is for making the content that she can make a video on. And I would say that's the reason. So let's take a look. So we're going to look at certain claims or arguments from Belle from the oldest video to the more recent videos, and just look at how it changed and how she oftentimes presents claims as facts, and her evidence for these claims are different claims that are also unproven. And I think that is why she doesn't connect this. She thinks it's a narrative and it makes sense, so that must be it.
I do think that it's, you know, her story to tell, it's her business, and a lot of the time people need time to recover before they, you know, come out in the open and tell everyone every single personal detail of their entire traumatic experience.
I can't really control if somebody were to look at me and want to look like me.
Yeah, that's right. People look at her body, and that's pretty much the only reason people click on her videos, let's be honest.
So you can see here, very different.
Obviously, this is a lie, but it is also disgusting for him to try to state with certainty that I am acting with malicious intent, something that I am not doing, and I think if you look at my content, it's very obvious that I'm not.
Okay, Belle, we will check that. It's disgusting for someone to claim something or to state it as a fact when you don't have evidence, and her content will show that she doesn't hate Eugenia, she's not malicious in any way. Okay. So the first big claim that Belle uses every time is, I know it's more a meme, she's the one, but what about the kids, the children? We need to protect the children. That's basically her main argument. I have to admit, most of her videos are that. So in the beginning,
despite the facade of doing makeup tutorials, cosplay, and clothing haul videos, what Eugenia Cooney is really pushing is thinspo and a very dangerous pro-Anna agenda that is actively harming not just herself, but vulnerable young fans in her community. Because she is actively pushing people to be deeper and deeper in their eating disorder, and she's making people sicker. Even if that's not her intention, that is the result. And I'm going to show that with this video.
You probably think now, okay, but if she's actively doing all these things, there surely must be proof. And yes, there kind of is.
You can see it pretty much everywhere that she posts online. There's one particular Instagram post that I'm going to be talking about. Attached to this photo, she has a caption that says, "What you think about yourself is more important than what others think of you." So in this photo, it seems like on the surface, it's about like positivity and self-love and self-care and things like that, which are great and wonderful things. However, I have a hard time believing that this caption is about loving yourself and wanting to take care of yourself, because clearly she is not taking care of herself. But when you attach this caption to the photo, it's sort of saying like, don't listen to other people when they say things about you. Believe what you think inside.
Yeah, that's her proof. No, I'm not joking. Her proof for saying Eugenia produces thinspo and actively harms kids is the fact that she makes videos where you can see her body, because she does fashion and cosplay and a little bit makeup. And she twisted this caption. That's it. So her claim about thinspo is supported by another claim. I don't know about you, but I think Belle is a beautiful woman, but she's very thin, and that could trigger people. And sometimes her captions, beauty standards are a joke. If you have a feature that you think is ugly, wait 2 years and a corporation will be happy to sell it to you for profit. You could think just a few years ago, and was the beauty standard in the model industry. You could think that she said to sick people that they don't have to obey the beauty standards of the curvy, healthy body. They just have to wait a little and anorexia will be in fashion again. So according to her own standards, she's probably promoting some kind of ED. And in her most recent videos, the responses to another YouTuber, Willie Mac Show, amazing video, she went even further.
Regardless of how many times people have informed her that this is actively hurting her community and actively making life worse for people who are trying to recover from their ED, she continues to do it. Are young, impressionable people that look up to you, and you're feeding into their eating disorder and you're making it worse for them.
Yes, it might be triggering to some people, but Belle is acting like Eugenia videos play everywhere, and there's no way for people to not look at them. I don't know, even after researching for this video, I barely get any videos from Eugenia recommended. The funny thing is, the definition of thinspo is this: Thinspiration or thinspo websites that feature photos, blog posts, diet and exercise instructions, and inspirational messages devoted to the pursuit of thinness, also called pro-Anna sites. These communities draw kids who want to achieve the thin body ideal often praised in our culture. Clearly, they promote unhealthy ideals and activities, and kids should avoid them. It's not only teens, blah, blah, blah. Is that what Eugenia does? No. She wears outfits, and when people tell her, and everyone tells her she's going to die and she's sick, and she says, no, I'm okay, my doctor says I'm fine. And that doesn't necessarily correlate to she doesn't have an ED, but that means she's fine at the moment.
She can't be held accountable for the fact that she has this mental illness, which is outside of her control. But I don't see the same charitability towards other people, you know, minors who struggle with an ED, who kind of have no choice to look at it. And it's not as if she has the decency to stay in the pro-ED community. She also is merging into like the anime and cosplay community. What are people supposed to do?
Oh, well, don't watch the content.
What about the children? And really, she's acting like Eugenia's videos are everywhere. It gets shoved down your throat and there's no way that you can not see it. Wrong. And then the audacity to say that she has not the decency to stay. Eugenia is not part of the pro-Anna community. Her videos have nothing to do with it besides her being an. And I've watched quite a few Eugenia videos for this. She never tells people that they should look up to her. She never tells people that they should be as thin as possible. So by even your own definition, that's not thinspo. But listen, after this, listen to the contrast to the first video.
Part of the reason why people got so upset with Eugenia is because she would put her body out there and she would wear these cute clothes, but she was so thin. So I think people were upset because it is going to be triggering for young girls and also normalizing being extremely thin and having an eating disorder, but not doing anything about it. So I understand people getting upset at her for that, but it's not her fault. It's not something she's doing on purpose to harm people. It's really just something that's harming herself. And yes, it is going to affect other people, but it's not her fault. So you can't really come at her and accuse her and, you know, tell her that she's bad.
Eugenia is not just another creator online who has an ED. She weaponizes her ED in the form of thinspo.
So now that we've established that Eugenia only produces thinspo, let's look a little bit deeper into the claim that she is actively promoting this, because this is Belle's evidence, her proof for it.
Moving on, we see another photo that says Eugenia shows me it's possible. It also uses hashtags like pro-Anna, thinspo, Eugenia Cooney, anorexia, hashtag I want to look like this. So clearly she's influencing people and pushing them deeper and deeper into an ED. So the fact that she has a face that is so associated with the eating disorder community and with the pro-Anna movement is very upsetting and disturbing to me. Anyway, this girl posts photos of her progress for her eating disorder and uses the hashtag Eugenia Cooney.
Her proof that Eugenia is promoting this is that other people use Eugenia's Instagram pictures and use it as thinspo. It's not Eugenia who puts out this message and says, well, look how thin I am, look how crazy it is, you have to do that too. No, it's other people using it and using the hashtag. Yeah, the hashtag proves everything. I, at the beginning, looked at this and said, yeah, it makes sense. It triggers people because people with EDs or even without EDs develop them when they see stuff like this. But Belle, in the beginning, acknowledged this.
Eating disorders are a very complex problem. For some people, it's about control. For some people, it's about self-loathing. For some people, it's about being bullied. For some people, they want to look like other people. So there's all different reasons that someone can have an eating disorder.
The claim that all of these kids would have never developed an ED without watching Eugenia Cooney's videos, that basically got disproven by yourself, because you said yourself that just 1% of people has an ED because they want to look like something. For many other people, they use it as to punish themselves. So that doesn't really track.
And she's producing content which is actively hurting her audience regardless of how many people ask her to stop. And the worst part is she's doing all of it with a smile on her face while telling everyone that she is completely fine, normalizing the idea that she is okay, that she is not sick, and that this is normal, healthy, and fine.
Belle, what do you think about that? Does Eugenia have to tell everything to everyone?
So people really do have to be patient and also understand that she doesn't owe anyone on the internet an explanation. Like, that's not like the rent that you pay for having mental illness is like explaining a mental illness to everyone. That's not her job, and if she wants to do that, that's her business, but you can't like shame her for not doing it or not doing it at the how soon you think she should.
So the more understanding Belle didn't even blame Eugenia for the things she's now blaming on her. The thing is, she is not obligated to tell everyone about the state of her mental health. As much as I am not obligated to tell everyone that I have BPD. I do because I want to, because I'm ready to. But even with the scars, I could say, no, I'm fine. Am I normalizing having those scars? Am I subliminally telling people that they should go and harm themselves? No.
She doesn't owe anyone on the internet an explanation.
So, just to get that straight, Eugenia's content is thinspo because other people have emotional reactions to the video. And therefore, Eugenia is doing everything on purpose and people are dying because of her. It's really crazy the amount of blame Belle nowadays pushes onto Eugenia, and she didn't do any of that in the beginning. So it's really hard for me to look at these things and say, okay, I watched her content, I just ate everything up, because for me she had a little bit more credibility because she suffered from an ED herself and she was very understanding in the beginning. But I didn't watch these videos back to back, so when she had concerns and reasons, I sadly didn't think about any of it, and that's totally on me. But she, till this day, doesn't see any of it.
I just don't understand how someone could be so apathetic to someone struggling with mental illness.
She thinks she's completely in the right, and that Eugenia is the worst person on this planet, and that Belle is the best. So another huge claim is that Eugenia's mom is very toxic and abusive and is using Eugenia's ED for money.
Even with her mother's quirky adventure mom facade that she puts on in all of her videos.
I'm just gonna see. Yeah, let me know. See, maybe I could try. Hello? Hi, so just so you know, like, is my Switch still upstairs? Can I, like, get it? Okay, because if I try an SD card, it possibly might come back, but I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna go find out. But thank you guys.
Four people downstairs that need to speak to you immediately.
Are you kidding?
No.
Wait, why?
I want to make sure you're okay.
Oh, I'm fine.
We gotta go down there. Wait, let's go.
All right.
Oh my god, where's my purse?
No, I'm sure you have it.
I got at the restaurant.
All right. All right. Fine. All right, guys. Fine. I'll get off. Okay. Hold on one second.
Yeah, that's her proof for her abusive parents. But if that's the best you have to prove it, I'm sorry, your claim is baseless.
Her parents appear to be extremely controlling, which you can clearly see.
Really? Could we clearly see that? I don't know. Let's watch some of her more newer clips. What she thinks about the mom situation now.
This creator also tried to use the point that one time another YouTuber stayed with Eugenia for a couple days like 5 or 6 years ago, as if this is proof positive that there cannot be any abuse going on in that house.
Yeah, it doesn't prove anything, but it's more of what you have. You only have a claim. You only say, that's it, without anything. So the counter argument has at least something to support the claim that, no, that claim is at least wrong. To claim that her mom is abusive is wrong. And again, it's really funny after you've seen this clip to watch this.
I'm also not going to be talking about, like, there's a little bit of, like, discourse between her and Jacqueline Glenn right now, and she pointed out that there's a lot of inconsistencies with what they said in the Shane Dawson video, and also that, like, her mom is very toxic and abusive. I'm not going to be talking about that because I really have nothing to say about that. All I can do is speculate, but I really don't know any of the facts behind what happened with Jacqueline Glenn, Shane Dawson, Eugenia Cooney, Eugenia Cooney's mom. I'm not going to sit here and, like, conspiracy theory it because it's not my business.
What changed? These clips she used as proof were online prior to recording this video. They were out there. And the claims were out there too. I would hypothesize, again, just speculation, that the thing that changed is her emotions. She was disappointed that Eugenia relapsed and didn't really talk about her ED anymore, at least not to an extent that she thinks is appropriate. And that led to her imagining things that might have happened to explain that, and that derailed out of control into her being a bully.
What my belief is, and what my belief always has been, is that people who weaponize their EDs in the form of thinspo or pro-ana content, who use it for shock value and for profit with zero regard for who they're influencing, should be removed or age restricted.
But Belle, don't you make this shock value content yourself? Don't you exploit Eugenia's ED for your own gain? Because you made 12 videos about her. And of course, Belle is a proponent of the petition that was created to temporarily ban Eugenia. We all can agree that YouTube might be an important part of her support system because it's her bread and butter, that's her job. She has something to do, she gets up in the morning and she has fun with it, right?
I think the worst was probably in the 8th grade when I moved to a different town. I lost all of my support. I lost all of my friends, all of my therapists, all of the social workers that were working with me because of other things that were going on in my life. So that was really, really difficult.
Isn't that the same thing you tried to do to Eugenia for some reason? So now you might think, Jessy, what if Belle just doesn't know how to treat people with an ED? Maybe she's trying to help and just doesn't know how and just did it the wrong way.
It can be triggering to constantly be bombarded with people looking at your body and picking apart what you look like, and it can encourage the eating disorder even more. So that is something that you really have to keep an eye on and not do for someone that is struggling with this. But I do also want to acknowledge that it is not helpful to nitpick and to pick apart photos of people who are struggling with an ED. And you can see her arms, her tendons are very pronounced, you can see her collarbones, and I'm not going to go too deep into what she looks like in the photo because I don't think that's productive. If you are watching this video and you are struggling with an ED, or you know someone who is struggling with an ED, just let them know that they are loved and you are there for them. But don't try to judge them and try to get them whatever help you can. This is clearly a desperate and pathetic attempt by Eugenia and her mother to try to bring some more content and more views to her channel. Even though it's now been years since I was actively struggling with this, it's still something that I deal with every single day, and I still feel real pain when I think back on how much I was suffering and how much I hated myself. The idea that Eugenia is still suffering with this now, and she has to pretend like everything is okay, really hurts me.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Belle. I think it's a little bit over the top, the thin voice, and oh my god, I'm so sorry. But that's just my perception, just opinion. But she made very good points saying, don't do this, that is what you're doing. And what is it that you were doing? So these were the most apparent claims, allegations, whatever she had. And now I want to talk a little bit about her response to William Show, because she said this.
And I also want to bring up some points that he seemingly just forgot to mention, probably because they didn't fit the narrative he was trying to push.
So she's complaining about a manipulative content creator, or that he made content that was very manipulative. For example,
first, I want you to take a look at this thumbnail and see how intentionally manipulative Willie is being.
Yeah. Thumbnails. It's not at all like everyone knows, including Belle, that a little bit of clickbait, a little bit of over dramatizing just makes people click more often on the video. But you would assume that Belle would never ever be manipulative or twist some stories of victims, the poor children.
This first post I found, which was in the Eugenia Cooney subreddit, is talking about how Eugenia was this girl's first thinspo years ago, sort of her first introduction into thinspo and pro-Anna content.
Is it though? So you say Eugenia was her first exposure to thinspo and pro-Anna. Let's read a little. I am not blaming her, but my initial exposure to thinspo was through Tumblr, and she was the poster girl for thinspo back then. That's actually how I got into watching her content on YouTube. So, this person says, not blaming her, and that she was on Tumblr and got exposed to it there, and that at the time she was the face, and not that she was the introduction. And because of the thinspo, she was made the face by other people, mind you, then she used Eugenia as thinspo, not the other way around. How do you think you have any place to accuse other people of manipulating, or to condemn them, or to claim that you are not biased? Your bias took away your ability to read.
And another person replied saying that even though she knows Eugenia is not healthy, she still wants to be skinny when she looks at Eugenia's photos. Even though they know that Eugenia is not healthy, she's not in a good state, when they see her, they feel triggered, and it pushes them deeper and deeper and inspires them to have these feelings even more. Even if they're not acting on them, it is still very triggering, and it can push people to be a sicker version of themselves.
You say her face is associated with the pro-Anna community, and that just her body, just looking at her body, is triggering people, even though they are so clear to say, I know she's not healthy, I know this is sick, but I still get triggered. You were putting blame on her for having pictures online. So even if she would recover, you would still place blame on her because her old pictures are still triggering people. What kind of storyline is that?
I just don't understand how someone could be so apathetic to someone struggling with mental illness.
Also, you mentioned so often that I wouldn't even say anything if...
So basically, as long as they are giving disclaimers and saying, I'm not trying to enable this, I'm not trying to encourage other people to do it, as long as they are not actively trying to promote harm to their audience, I have no issue. I don't want her to advocate for pro-Anna content, and I don't want her to either directly or indirectly send the message that there is nothing wrong with having an extremely dangerous ED. If Eugenia was online right now admitting that she has an ED and that this is not something that her fans and audience should be glamorizing or aspiring to have or basically just looking up to, we would be having a very different conversation right now.
She did. She maybe didn't do it in the beginning, but she always said, oh no, please don't do this, and always said, hey, you know, just because I don't want to gain weight, that doesn't mean anything, and it's just me, and blah blah blah. She never said anything like that. And after the Shane Dawson video, after she came back, she said she has an ED, that she's in recovery, and never promoted it. She never actively harmed anyone, and she always said to not look up to her like this. So she has these things out and you still choose to make videos. So I'm sorry, I don't think Eugenia is the manipulative one.
I'm going to be speaking with someone at the end of this video who personally was introduced to anorexia and eating communities through Eugenia Cooney, and who, without being a fan of Eugenia, would never have developed an eating disorder. The person I'm going to be speaking with had never had an eating disorder and had never really thought about that kind of thing until she was introduced to Eugenia, and then she developed an eating disorder that caused her a lot of mental as well as physical distress and pain.
I think it's very manipulative. I will talk to a survivor of Eugenia and these kids, and she would have never developed an ED. You don't know. Not even scientists know. Who the hell are you to put that blame on someone you don't know?
I just don't understand how someone could be so apathetic to someone struggling with mental illness.
You are so full of yourself. You should really put a rope around your feet so someone can pull your head out of your own ass, because, bitch, you're going from down there and tickling the back of your teeth. You incriminate Eugenia for other people stealing her pictures and posting them in a pro-Anna context. Regardless of what she's doing, she could say, guys, I'm suffering and this is not cool. Please don't be as thin as I am. And people would still use it because you said yourself, those people know she's not healthy. They know she has an eating disorder, but they don't care. So what you are basically implying is that if you suffer from an ED, that you can visibly tell you shouldn't be anywhere. Don't you think that these kids, when they go out on the street and they see someone as thin there, they would be as triggered as online? Yes, they consume a lot more content, but the trigger is the same. It's the same argument saying that when someone plays Counter-Strike, they will go and commit a school shooting. No! To have that as a trigger, there is something going on anyway, because there were school shooters before video games, and that's the same thing. She might be a trigger to some people, but those people will get triggered by probably anything.
And another thing that really, really frustrates me is her complete lack of empathy whenever anyone brings up the fact that they were triggered by her content or that they have struggled with an ED because they watched her. Like, anytime someone does bring this up, she's just like, oh, well, you shouldn't watch my content then. Okay.
What? You never played?
So, and now let's get to the point that made me think she is a conspiracy theorist. She is, I'm sorry. Belle, if you ever get this far in the video, which I doubt, you are a conspiracy theorist. You have your tinfoil hat all around your body. Hey, sorry, I just got a little bit of the timeline wrong. In December last year, Belle asked YouTube to do something about the Eugenia situation. They had some tweets back and forth and then decided to go into DMs, where Belle could tell Team YouTube what her issue was. And 3 days later, Belle made this tweet where she said there was nothing wrong according to YouTube. But that didn't stop Belle, of course. Since Belle is somehow totally convinced that Eugenia is promoting her ED and she thinks that Eugenia is breaking TOS. Because YouTube took down her second video where she titled it Eugenia Cooney and the Dangers of Pro-Anna Content.
The fact that my EC video, the first one that I did on her, was taken down on Saturday for violating community guidelines and promoting harmful content. So it's kind of ironic to me that they took my video down for violating community guidelines when her videos are still up to this day. And the fact that my video got taken down is that it shows this platform is aware that this content is very dangerous. It's aware that this content is harmful.
They cited the guideline for harmful or dangerous content, and that has a point about eating disorders. So you would say, yeah, okay, that's an argument. But her video got not even 24 hours later reinstated.
And after I talked to them about the hypocrisy with that and how I was very obviously not doing that, they reinstated my video.
That was a false takedown. Normal people would now say, okay, then Eugenia's content seemingly doesn't violate any TOS because YouTube said, sorry, false alarm, right? No, not when you are Belle. Belle said, yes, it got reinstated, but they took it down.
I think that Eugenia's pro-Anna, thinspo, shock value content that is actively harming minors in her community. But the most frustrating thing is that YouTube agrees with me. And the reason I know that, again, is because my video that featured Eugenia's content was removed. It was removed because it violated the harmful and dangerous policy.
And the reason she thinks that Eugenia still does violate some TOS, even though Eugenia's content is online and her video is reinstated too, she says,
yeah, that's because YouTube is money hungry.
I'm not joking. That's her reason. She says, Eugenia makes more money than I do, therefore her videos stay up and mine not. Your video is up! I downloaded it just a few days ago. It's still up. And she thinks this.
The video that I made with a bunch of disclaimers about the dangers of like pro-Anna stuff, that was taken down for promoting eating disorders. But Eugenia's video that I literally took it from was fine to stay up. There is literally no logical explanation for that, aside from, I don't know, maybe we could take a look at our analytics and see how much money my channel is generating for YouTube versus Eugenia's.
So not at all every creator had a content ID claim or a copyright claim or a false takedown. Because that's what happens. It's just an algorithm. Shit happens.
Her video is titled My Response and Why YouTube Agrees With Me. They definitely don't, but we'll get to that.
Where's your proof that they don't?
YouTube just said they can't identify any TOS violations with Eugenia. Wow, it looks like YouTube doesn't agree with you. They agree with me.
Yeah, because YouTube never allows profit to get in the way of their good judgment, does it? Do you, Willie Mac, have proof that my video was taken down because bots false flagged it as being pro-Anna content? Do you have receipts for that? You don't. Oh, okay, that's cool, because I actually do have receipts that my video was taken down because it was flagged for promoting eating disorders.
Yes. You know why? Because Eugenia's videos are just about fashion. No mention of her body shape, anorexia, ED, nothing. You, on the other hand, took clips of her and attached it to pro-Anna in the title. You mentioned pro-Anna, thinspo, ED throughout your video. And now you say,
But YouTube makes money.
YouTube doesn't make much money from the ads. Google, and therefore YouTube, is not about the ads as it is. It's about the targeted ads. It's about the information they get from us using their websites. How are you even a creator on YouTube and not knowing what YouTube is? And just so you know, the next clips are about a video where Eugenia made a shoe review haul and put up her leg with the shoe on it and her underwear flashed.
Now, about the panties matching the eyeshadow comment that I made in one video one time that they keep bringing up over and over and over again, as if it was the only point that I made in that video.
And this is another manipulation where she said, I only mentioned that once. Bitch, listen.
She is flashing the camera her underwear. You can see up her shorts and you can see her underwear. Purposely flash the camera multiple times. There's probably about 15 instances in this video in which we can see your underwear. Her underwear and her eyeshadow matched. They were the same color. That you can literally see her underwear. Many times she flashed her underwear to match her underwear to her eyeshadow, in which we can see your underwear.
She had very heinous claims in there.
This is clearly a desperate and pathetic attempt by Eugenia and her mother to try to bring some more controversy and more views to her channel. So in order to bring more views to her channel, she decided to purposely flash the camera multiple times over. Obviously, this is a lie, but it is also disgusting for me to try to state with certainty that
Eugenia purposefully flashed the camera.
Something that she's not doing, and I think if you look at her content, it's very obvious that
she's not. Again, just a claim, but she has something to prove for that. For something as rational and unbiased and gracious as Belle, that probably isn't another claim.
It was edited, it was pre-recorded, and then they put it out. And I say they because it was not just Eugenia, but Eugenia's mom as well. Everyone knows that Eugenia's mom is extremely involved in her channel, and I do not believe that there is any way that it could get past two people looking at it and checking to make sure everything was okay without someone noticing, oh, there's probably about 15 instances in this video in which we can see your underwear. Because she's not only her body and her illness and her condition to try to get clicks and views, but she realized that that's not enough anymore, and so she needs to go the extra mile. She needs to take it a step further and flash her underwear and try to use that to get clicks and views on her channel.
I don't want to like assume, because obviously I'm not her, I don't know what's going on in her head.
You might believe that, and that's completely fine, but I am never going to be convinced that that was simply left in by accident.
Everything you do is make up narratives.
She's anorexic. It could be because her mom is controlling, and when her mom is controlling, then that's, and then that.
And from the beginning, it was just an assumption. And on that, you based 11 other videos. Everything after that, after your second video, everything else is discredited, is bullcrap. Because you're a biased little shit that is too full of herself to admit it. You are a conspiracy theorist. You have the same reasoning as this flat earther, Daniel Pratt, who says
the only thing these clowns are good at is getting truth
Eugenia
channels deleted from YouTube. That's all they are ever successful at.
And makes my mental health get so much worse. This is still something that I chose to cover only because I wanted to make a difference and I wanted to educate people about the dangers of thinspo, because I wish that that was content that I had seen when I was first getting into it.
No, you didn't want to just educate people on thinspo, because if so, you could have just talked about thinspo in general.
Like, I'm not trying to say that it is anyone's fault or that it was my choice to make these videos, and I thought it was important to cover the situation. But I also think it is important for me to just talk about this, because I think a lot of people are like, it's not actually her fault, or she's not causing people to be triggered or have EDs or relapse or anything like that. And I know that's not true because I know it happened to me. And I am someone that hasn't struggled with this in like a decade.
No, that's on you. I know how it is if your mental health is great. It has been for years, and you never pay attention to triggers. Then you unlearn the behavior where you recognize certain dangers or potential triggers, and boom, you're relapsing. It's still not Eugenia's fault, especially if you looked at triggering content to do a video on, because it's triggering. So I just had to shorten it down. Yes, this is the shortened down version, but yeah, that's why there's no video. It would take way too long. And now to end this all, let's go back to Belle's claim from the beginning.
He states here, with 100% certainty, that I am acting with malicious intent. Obviously, this is a lie, but it is also disgusting for him to try to state with certainty that I am acting with malicious intent, something that I am not doing, and I think if you look at my content, it's very obvious that I'm not.
I'm sorry, Belle, but no, I'm not. I think the assumption that you made these videos in malice is pretty valid. Either you're just a reckless idiot that bullies a mentally ill woman under the facade of, what about the children? Instead of either avoiding triggers properly or accepting that you triggered yourself, not Eugenia. You demand so much empathy for minors, the children, and all the people who watch videos voluntarily. But not once have you wasted a thought on Eugenia's mental health and the thousands of comments about her body, calling her fat, calling her a skeleton, telling her to kill herself, tell her they're surprised that she's still alive, getting dislike bombed, a petition to take away her hobby, her bread and butter, and what brings her joy despite of all the harassment and comments. And then you come along and tell her she's responsible for all the children of YouTube, has to do the job of all the parents, otherwise these kids might die or suffer disorders, all while she just makes videos and has the appearance she has. That's her own fault. You can see she has an ED. That's it. Even if she's secretly body checking while making these videos, it's not enough to get her banned. You make her ED the center of the content, not her. When I sit at home streaming and drink a beer, am I responsible if a minor who is watching drinks a beer too because of that? And if you think that's different, that says more about your emotions than your critical thinking. You blame Eugenia for stuff that could literally break her just so you feel better because that is what you had needed when you were a kid. That's not fair. You give her the pain that you suffered, that you expected, I don't know, your parents to help you through. That is not fair. And at worst, you have some sort of hatred or at least dismay against her because you had expectations on her. Either way, it's your own thoughts and behaviors that got you in this position. And yes, I doubt she will ever watch the video, but I think it's important because many of us were very biased in the Eugenia Cooney situation. As you guys know, I was one of them. And that's why I think it's important to call this out and kind of defend Eugenia from what we probably have put her through the last month. So, outro Jessy, you go, girl. So please let me know down in the comments, what did you think about this video? Also, Do you think that her disappointment about Eugenia's recovery and her expectation to Eugenia is the reason her caring got more and more hateful and blaming and almost aggressive to a certain extent? Do you think that could be the reason why? Do you have another theory? Please let me know, because as I said, that's just my theory. It has nothing to do with facts in that sense. And also, let me know what you think about these biases, and in my next video I will expose or just show you different creators that were biased and just not really responsible in the way they presented their facts. And I think it's very important, and I don't want to only use Belle because she's far from the only one. She's just the most stubborn one. Let's leave it at that. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. This one will be long enough. I love you and goodbye.